Hello, 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 and welcome back. I want to welcome back you to my channel, Life Stories by Glamma J. This is going to be more of an awareness for you to be aware, to not to be afraid to speak up. Today's date is, oh my goodness sakes, I should know. This is horrible. May 17th, and it's Thursday. I had a doctor procedure to be done on Tuesday the 15th, and I had given myself 2 days to really do some thinking and to get out of the high pain that I was in, because I'll explain what I mean by that. So I'm able to make this vlog of what had happened. I had already put on social media, I think that day, if I remember, I think I did it on that day, later that day, when I had gotten done talking to my primary doctor. The reason, I sound like I'm just going all over the board, and the reasoning of this vlog is to inform you of your rights and not to be afraid to speak up, because I honestly, I preach it, I state it, I empower you, but I was scared to death. And I'm going to tell you this, it's easier to say than do, and I did it, and I'm happy I did it. And I think I had an outer body experience during that whole situation, because that would not have been the old Jay a few years ago. I would have just kept my mouth shut and accepted, Luna just jumped on my lap, accepted the procedure and just complained about it after, so, and not making, not questioning at the time. A lot of you have been following me, and a lot of you know that I and Ray were in an auto accident. And due to that auto accident, I have been injured, and it's considered permanently disabled. And what it is affecting is my lower back and my hip regions, okay? And I have difficulty walking. There's days I have really, really good days, and there's days that it is extremely, extremely painful. I live with chronic pain. I am learning to deal with the depression with chronic pain. It is overwhelming. It is something, it's a daily struggle. And you can put the smile on the face, you can put the makeup on, or you can tilt the crown a certain way. It is still going to be inside of you, and living with chronic pain is not fun at all. Being new to a city such as El Paso, and it is a large city, one would assume that there would be good providers. And this is my journey letting you know you cannot assume. Anywhere you go, a small town to a big town, you know, their doctors have to take the pride and remember what they were taught. Even the facility that's regulated by the FDA, to take the pride of knowing what things should be done properly for the safety of the patient. I have had pain management before, and I'm going to tell you that Dr. Rivera was superb. I have no problems with Dr. Rivera. He was professional, he was clean, his staff was knowledgeable. He prepared me for what I experienced on Tuesday. He prepared me knowing what was right and not, if that makes sense. And the reason why I didn't go back to him is due to the fact my primary doctor, my doctor, referred me to the El Paso Pain Center, to Dr. Lopez. My doctor did. So me assuming, again, that this doctor is qualified. And I'm going to say that. And you're going to hear my story, and you're going to make your own assumptions, and you're going to know why I am making this vlog today. I don't want to go through pain management. I don't want to take a pill. I don't want to be a number. I don't want to have fatty liver disease. I don't want to be covering or masking something, but I'm going to tell you something. There are times where you have to take medication to ease that pain, for the fact it's going to elevate your blood pressure. You're going to put more strain and stress onto your body. That's going to cause complications with different organs within yourself. Example, the liver or your heart. It could be anything within your skin, your hair. Oh my gosh, if you only knew. My hair, you know. The first visit I had visited with this Dr. Lopez with the El Paso Pain Center, I was really, really impressed. They were very thorough. They did the whole blood work. The young gentleman who did my blood work was very, very good at what he was doing, is drawing the blood. He knew what he was doing, and knowing my background and knowing that the history, what I learned through the American Red Cross and being an instructor, all of those things come back at you, and you know what is right and what's not right, and what is allowed by the federal government and what's not allowed by the federal government. Working for Blue Cross Blue Shield before my daughter was born, these are tools that I had learned along the way, and thinking, this isn't right, and I don't know why you're trying to BS me, because you know this isn't right, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So then, going through the first visit, they were very thorough. They did the whole swabbing of the cheek and telling me they just want to do the DNA to see if what medications will go with me. You know, I'm not a fool. I know why you're doing the swab. I've never done a drug. The only drug I've done was pot many, 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 many years ago. Like, I don't know, what, 20 plus years ago. So that was the only thing I've ever done. No, I've never done any other drugs in my life, unless they were prescribed to me, if that makes sense. I don't like taking pills. I don't. I hate relying on pills. It is just the daily pill of my blood pressure, to my multivitamin, to my flaxseed oil, to that's it. And then on Fridays I take my vitamin D that's prescribed to me by my doctor. At night I take my ibuprofen 600 and a muscle relaxer. I don't do, if I have to do it during the day, if it's a bad day, I will take it during the day, but I don't, because I'm foggy, I'm sleepy, and I'm not coherent, and it's not a good day. So averagely, daily, 6, 7. Daily. In this pain. Living with chronic pain, it gets to you. Believe me, it can really hit your psyche. So I spoke to the doctor, and I had all my medical records. I had all of my records from Dr. Rivera. He asked me why I didn't go back to him. I said, because my doctor referred you to you. That's the only reason why. I'm not skipping him. I'm just following doctor's orders. That's all I'm doing. He had everything. He was very prepared, walking my MRIs, my blood work for the past year and a half. He knew so much information. He was prepared, and he goes, you know, I really think these epidural steroid shots in both your left and right hip regions and the SI joints are really going to help you. It's a 3-shot series, and they're 2 weeks apart. And you can take a pill, or you can, you know, like a Valium. I'm going, what? No. goes, well, if you have anxiety dealing with shots or pill, I'm thinking, no, I don't want anything for this. Just, I'm in pain daily. I don't want, and some people need that. Don't get me wrong. Do not think I'm looking down upon anybody. Everybody is different. Every book is different. I don't want that. I don't want that. And thank God I wasn't under the influence when this day happened. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. So I did the whole first visit with Dr. Lopez. He seemed very professional. He seemed like he had his stuff together. Even the young lady had commented to me in that room on the first day visit stating, I love him. I would bring my mother here. He is the best doctor in El Paso. And I thought, the mother, she brought her, that I feel comfortable. I feel like I'm safe. My procedure was scheduled for the first one was 2 weeks later, and I was giving a piece of paper stating what to do, like fasting, stop eating at night and don't have anything to drink or eat prior to the procedure. So I stopped eating about 9 o'clock that night because my procedure was about 11. My appointment was at 11:15. I could not take like my vitamins. There's certain days I'm not able to take I had to stop taking my vitamins. My blood pressure I continued taking. My pain medicine I had to stop 3 days prior to this procedure. So for 3 days, up to Tuesday, and that I was in pain. It was horrendous. It was horrendous. Your psyche, and I wasn't really. Mother's Day was tough. It was a tough day because I was so emotional and so much pain, and Ray made it so special because he knew that I was trying to be strong. So now we arrive on Tuesday. I'm going to be honest, something just didn't feel right. I don't know if it was my nerves, and I think it was my nerves for the fact not having this procedure done before, not knowing. It said it takes about 2 days to take the effect, and it takes up to 10 days to relieve, but you have to have a series of shots situation to relieve that pain. And so I wasn't looking forward to being out for an additional 2 days. So it's been 5 days, and and I have lots of animals, and they're my babies, and I don't want them because they worry about me. They do. Blues is like my therapy dog, and I can see it. She's not left my side up that day. When I came home that Tuesday, she was on me. So then Ray had gone to work that morning and came back to pick me up. And he knew I was a little stressed, but I was okay. I mean, I am with the situation with the thyroid and then the breasts and the fears of that, and going through all of this, it's just been a whirlwind since I came here to El Paso in 2015. It's just been horrendous. We arrived to the El Paso Pain Center here on the east side of El Paso, where Dr. Lopez is located. I do not know if he works out at the other 2 clinics. I do not know. I don't know. I checked in, and they told me to sit down, and the room was just full, and I'm thinking it's going to be thank God my appointment, I arrived about 10 8:45. I was about 30 minutes early, not knowing if they needed to draw blood, not knowing if they needed to do a UA, with it being a pain center. I just didn't know, because this is my second visit, and I wanted to make sure I gave them enough time if there was issues in the back and, you know, that kind of thing. You know, it's just, I've always arrived early for my doctor's appointments. Since then, we sit down and we waited for a good 30 to 40 minutes until I get called up again. And they question me about my insurance. And this is one point I really want you guys to hear me, okay? I know, I understand my insurance. I understand the deductible, and I understand the co-insurance. I understand network. I understand non-network. I understand the participating and non-participating. I understand write-offs. I understand an RA, which is the doctor's report that comes back to them knowing what the insurance allowed, what the patient's responsibility, and what the doctor writes off, and what they're going to get paid. I understand the EOB, the explanation of benefits, is what we received as the insurers if you have insurance through Blue Cross Blue Shield, TRICARE. I think when the cats move, or sorry about the interruption of the babies, the babies. But the situations with TRICARE, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and any kind of health insurance, even with Medicare, your Medicaid, you're going to receive an explanation of benefits, a form showing what the procedure was, what the cost of the procedure, what was allowed, what was paid to the provider, what is your responsibility, and if the provider was networking or not networking, what you owe, and if you owe the difference. I understand all of that. So when I went up, they had stated to me what my charges were, okay? And I know with my ER visit that I had in April, but due to the fact of the pain, that's why I was sent to this pain management. My doctor, bless her heart, she goes, I just don't want you living this way. You've done it for too long. You're tired. And no. So she said my balance, my deductible is met, and I don't have a copay, but you owe $126. And I go, may I ask you, how much is the procedure? Because I know that we have a percentage of what we owe, if that makes sense, up to a dollar amount. And she goes, well, I don't know. I go, well, then let me ask you a question. Then how do you know that I owe $126 and it could be less, because you are a participating provider, and you know, knowing my deductible's been met? And she's like, empower yourself, guys. Empower yourself. Get to know. Don't be afraid of the insurance. Know what the heck is going on. Empower yourself, please. So she called the office manager over, and I go, I'm not here to cause any problems, and I was not there to cause any problems. I was making, and I even asked Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they said, you did the right thing. You're doing the right thing. They have to file the charges. And I understand they're wanting to get paid. I comprehend that. And I understand they have software to see where your percentage is going to be at. But you know what? I know that my charges will not be $126. It's going to be a lot less. And they know that, but they want a cushion. And it's like, nope, I've already ran into that situation a couple of years ago with the imaging place here, Desert Imaging, where they had overcharged me and they weren't going to refund me or tell me about it because they have too many patients to do that. When it comes to it, you know, they wait for us to let them know that they owe us money. So I told them, I go, I am aware of how you guys do your business, so I will give you a percentage today, letting you know. I understand how you guys do this. And she goes, okay, we can do that. They know. Your exception of the doctor's office, these special little pain centers, or your centers where you do procedures, Guys, have them bill that. If you have an office copay, yes, pay that. But they have to file that claim and you will find out what the responsibility that you owe. That's why you sign the paperwork as in you're taking on the responsibility. Just please know your insurance. So I paid $26 that day. Okay? Remind you, I have a remaining balance of $100 for that procedure of that day. So I went back and I explained to Ray, and Ray does not understand. He just knows that we have insurance and we have good insurance and they shouldn't be giving me any grief. And I'm thinking, if anything happens to me, I'm letting you know what's going on, because I could be gone. And I want him to be empowered. I want him to know what these terms mean, because he does so much and he has so many, yeah, but anyway. I go sit down and I say probably another 30 minutes I waited, and they call me, and they had brought back Ray and I. And this is where the nightmare begins. So they bring Ray and I back to this room, and they had a bed like you would find in a doctor's office or any kind of medical office, if that makes sense. And they had a gown folded on top of that. And she verified who I was by my date of birth. And hold on. I'm getting back. Come here, Badness. Come here, babies. Come on. So then I had to use the restroom. I think my nerves were just, because I had nothing to drink since 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock that night before. So I wanted to use the restroom one more time. And I go, can I use the restroom? She goes, yeah, go ahead. So she had asked me when I had stood up, she had asked me, she goes, well, are you wearing shorts? Because I was wearing a simple dress, just a pullover. And she goes, are you wearing shorts underneath there? I go, no. And she proceeds to say, you're not? I go, this is my first time doing this. Was I supposed to wear shorts underneath this? Hey. Ava. Rare form. She goes, no. Just take off the dress. This is important. Take off the dress and just put the gown on. And I go, do you want me to leave my undergarments on? She goes, yeah, just leave those on. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm all right. I'm thinking, okay, they're shooting in the SI joints in the hip region, and okay, all right, I'm okay. And I wore my flip-flops, but I put socks on because I know these rooms are very, very cold, and doctor's offices are cold anyway. So I'm thinking, are they doing the procedure in here? This is not really a sterile, but maybe, you get shots in the doctor's office. Don't get me wrong. You get like your flu shot, or you get your MMR shots. You get those in the doctor's office, and so maybe they do those shots in here. So I went to the restroom, and while I exit out my door, there is a table between this other section of two doors, and they're recovery rooms. There are people in wheelchairs with robes on, with the gowns on, and I remember going through that with Dr. Rivera when I had the burning of the nerves. I remember going through recovery, and I'm thinking, okay, why? What I'm thinking in the back of my mind, and I'm gonna be honest, why is there not someone in the room with them? Why isn't there not a tech in there with them? That's all I'm thinking. So then I'm walking by this table, and there's these two guys sitting there, and one of them is eating chips, and I apologize. It was a small bag, and it had the tea, and I think it's the spicy chips, and I've never had them before, so I don't know. It's TUK, something like that. I think that's the beginning of the word. And the other one had nuts, a jar of nuts. And I thought, well, maybe that's where the break table's at. I'm just like, something just not. And I walk by and I go down the hallway and I use the restroom. And I'm walking back to my room and I look over and I see these papers. And they had like these handwritten on the papers, like it was an envelope kind of situation. And I'm thinking, something came in my mind thinking, Jay, you're on alert. You're on alert. So I went in the room and I shut the door. Due to the privacy of the other patients, I don't think they'd want me to hear their conversations, or I don't think they want me to see these two guys eating at this table. Just so the young lady, I would say probably a few minutes later, the young lady opens my door and she goes, we need to leave this open. I go, not a problem, I'm okay with that. And Ray is sitting next to me. He's talking, he's doing work. He's still working from the men and the soldiers in the field there, McGregory, and I'm listening to his, just I'm hearing him talk, and I'm seeing what's happening outside this door, and I see this guy. He grabs his piece of paper. He grabs these things out of these boxes, and he snaps them apart. The packages, like for example, when you get a sterile pieces of equipment, they're in a sealed package where you got to pull it open, kind of situation. That's what these were. They were adapters, and gauze, and he is wiping his nose, no gloves on, no washing of hands, and he's making these kits. And there's eating going on, and there's drinking going on. There's a gallon of water on the floor where he's opening up and guzzling the bottle and then putting it back down. And I am having flashbacks, meaning flashbacks to where I was working at and training and teaching students. By regulations, food and water cannot be around sterile equipment. Gauze is considered a sterile equipment and should not be opened until the procedure is done. And what I mean by that, for example, if you get a shot at the doctor's office, that Band-Aid, the protection part of that Band-Aid, that white part of that Band-Aid, or that medicated part on that Band-Aid, that stuff should not be off. Our gauzes could not have been open. If you are having to do a technique of drawing blood or something like that, you need to be opening and then laying that gauze down, because you don't know. You just don't know. I sat back and I'm just thinking, I'm really thinking to myself, am I really seeing this? Do I say something? Is this allowed? Is this allowed in El Paso? Because a lot of stuff is happening in El Paso that should not be happening. And that is very first visit at a doctor's visit. They're here in El Paso after the accident, and my confidentiality information's on the desk, and guests are coming in and seeing where I live, what my social number is, and I mean, there's been a lot that's happened to me here. A lot. So then I looked at Ray and I said, if I say something, please do not interrupt me. If I question something, please don't act surprised. That's all I'm saying. And he goes, okay. You know, he's in his work mode. He's working. He's not knowing. He has no clue what I am exhibiting. He has no idea what I am seeing. He has no idea what fear just struck me in my body, in my core. I forgot to tell you, when I came back from the bathroom, walking by and seeing this, the young lady had said, don't worry about putting the gown on. Just lift up your dress. When they tell you lay down, just lift up your dress and they'll do it then. Okay. Maybe I'm not going into that dark room over there. I don't know. I've never. Okay. I won't wear the gown. Not a problem. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, am I losing my mind? Am I crazy? Am I seeing what I'm seeing? And so I took 2 photos. 2 photos. The boys were not sitting there. At this time, during this time, me questioning myself, they're taking patients out, coming back, not washing their hands. These patients are not okay. I can tell you, these patients are not okay. They are not fully awake enough to be coherent, that Dr. Rivera made sure I was coherent before he released me out that door. It's like a cattle. You come in one in the front and you're going out the back. That scared the stood out of me, meaning this place. Here, the El Paso Pain Center, the east side, Dr. Lopez's office, that scared me. And the patients coming, the coming in and out the same door, and coming from lunch, and I'm thinking something's just not feeling right. Something's just not right. So I took 2 photos of that table to show that there is an open drink. It's like if you see a protein drink or a bottle with the lid, that was on there with the lid open, with a jar of peanuts with the lid on at this time. This kid came back, the one that was making the kids. He takes his hand without any protection, pushes down into the trash, and then resumes making these kids again. That was it. And I thought, I got to ask. I got to ask the doctor. I have to. This is not right. So then what they did then is they're just wheeling these patients out the back door. I'm thinking, oh my God. So they take me to one more small room, which was right by that table, and they left Ray in the other room because he was on a phone call with one of the majors there at the Fort Bliss, and I looked at the table and I thought, take a photo. And I did. And it shows on that photo of the kits, paperwork on top of these kits, and paperwork there, and then the peanuts, and then the open container. And you can zoom in and see it's peanuts. Peanuts is something very delicate. People have a high allergies of peanuts. Scary. So then I told Ray to come here after he got the phone, and he come to me and he goes, they told me I need to move my truck. I go, not a problem. I go, please take my phone and my purse with you and put it in the truck. I didn't want that in my property with me, for the fact that they knew, I know they know, because there's a camera. There was a camera seeing the table of what everything is happening. So I know there is evidence to back up what I saw. I know they saw me take a photo, and I am totally okay with this. I don't care. I don't care. from there, Ray comes back after moving the vehicle, and the kid said, well, I need to have you go sit by the back door, and we'll bring her out to you when we're done. And Ray goes, okay. Ray's catching on. Ray doesn't know what I've seen so far, or what I'm thinking. So the young kid said, the young man, I apologize. Said, you ready? Let's go. And I'm thinking, okay. So I walk into this room, and it was the two kids, the two young men who were at this table eating and making these kits and drinking. And this one kid had 2 vials, and the doctor is like, that kid who was making the kits was standing right here holding 2 vials. The doctor standing in the middle, and the other kid's behind or with me here by the bed, and he just comes over and goes, you need to lay down here and put your head in this hole in this bed here. I look at him, and I slowly turned around, and I'm facing the 2 men. So the other kid comes around, and now there's the 3 of them. I go, I have a question for you, doctor. He goes, yeah. Do you allow food to be eaten and fluids to be drank while these kits being made? No. It's happening. It happened before this one, and it's happened after this one being made. Well, everything is sterile. I go, no, it's not. And he had made the comment to me, well, if he's not eating over it, he's fine. And I've done over thousands of these procedures, and no one's gotten injured. I go, this is not safe. And he goes, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this today. I go, you're not doing the procedure today? And it's like a load came off my back. For one, there was no female in the room. Number 2, I'm not in a gown. Number 3, I do not have a sterile kit sitting in front of me, and I have a doctor who's defensive that I'm questioning him about common sense. I go, I'm done. I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I am totally fine. Please remove her out of my room. Not a problem. So I said, I want a refund of today's service, and I want my medical records. And I stated to the 3 of them, I said, I have 2 witnesses here, doctor, and I want it dictated in my chart why you are not doing this procedure is for the fact that I questioned you if you are allowed to eat and drink while these kits are being made in an environment where people are going in and out of a door. Before a procedure is even started, these kits are made. Gauze is open. He was done with me. He was done. Done. So the young man who was making these kits, wiping his nose, and went up to, he goes, I will go get your refund, and I'll be back. I go around the corner, and Ray goes, why are you here? I go, Ray, trust me. I made the most smartest decision, and I made the most scariest thing I could have done. I spoke up. What? And I slowly told him what was going on. He goes, you need to find out if this kid's doing what you're needing him to do. And so I walked up to the front, and while I walked up to the front of this counter to get my refund and medical records, and believe me, I know the doctor's doing other procedures, and my medical record for today would not be documented. I comprehend that. I understand that. But I did verbally state to him, it better be in my charts. Why you refused the service and why I questioned you. So when I walked up to the counter, the staff, the whole staff is in the front talking about me, and now there's 2 other patients standing there listening. And the young kid looked at me and startled, and he brings me over my piece of paper and goes, "Here's yours, it shows his return, and you will have to pay $25 for your medical records." I go, no, I'm not paying $25 for my medical records. He goes, "Well, then you can go into your, these doctors today, you're able to sign in to a link where you can see your medical records, your history. They have now that available." And he goes, "Well, you can go in there and get them." And while I'm looking at this piece of paper that he handed me that shows that the transaction has been voided, I have at least 5 others, patients, names, account numbers, card numbers, expiration dates, and the amounts of their service, of the data service. I looked at the young kid and I go, "I want to speak to your office manager." Now remind you, I've already spoke to her earlier about the insurance, about paying, okay? And they're only going to be crediting me $26, just to remind you. So this young man who wipes his nose, pushed down the trash, the same time he's making these kids and eating peanuts and drinking. He goes in her office and he shuts the door, and I understand. I comprehend. He has to tell her what's going on. I respect that. I'm not a yeller. I don't want a scene. I am very to the point, I understand confidentiality, and I would not want to expose anybody else, if that makes sense. So she comes out and she was very guarded, which I understand, and I didn't take that offense. So she comes to me and she goes, "May I help you?" I go, "First of all, I'm sliding this paper to you. You do not want me to have this piece of paper. To the fact, confidentiality information you would not want me to have. I would like a separate form for me with my information." She almost died. It was like she removed herself. She went to the young girl who printed the information, who did that, and the little girl was just horrified that she's being questioned, and she did it. She owed up to it that she did that, and then the manager goes, "You cannot do this." So the manager comes back, and I said, "I'm going to tell you my side," and I told her exactly what I've just said to you. And she goes, "I need to make a phone call." So she made a phone call to the person who handles the IT part of doing the printing or making sure the transaction has been voided, because no one in the office knows how to do it at the time, and the front desk didn't know how to do it. And she goes, "It will be a few moments, Miss Hernandez. Can you mind waiting?" I go, "I don't mind waiting at all." She goes, "Do you want to go sit with your husband? Because I know you're in pain." I go, "You know what? I'll go sit with my husband." Christine, I think is her name, Hernandez. She is a Hernandez too. Was horrified. She handled it very, very well. She came back with a piece of paper, and she had asked to speak to both Ray and I in a room, closed doors, which I totally respect. Before she came back, I had Ray to take a photo of the camera that's pointing to the table to prove that We know this is being filmed. We know that you guys have evidence, and I have evidence to prove what I am stating and what I am saying and why I questioned. And that's where we are at this moment. So she shut the door and she apologized over and over. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. And she had stated to me, we have 2 other clinics here in El Paso, and you know, just give me a call and we can get you registered in there and we can take care of you. And I looked at Ray and I go, well, my husband and I will need to discuss this. We'll need to talk about it. She goes, I understand. And I go, my doctor will hear about this and I will be calling other people. And she goes, I understand. I understand. This will be reported. I understand. I know. I am so sorry. And I said, you would never have wanted this to happen to your mother or your grandmother or your grandfather or your child. You're right, Ms. Hernandez. I am going to be addressing it with my staff. Now, I come home so blown away of what just had occurred. Combination of that whole thing and then the pain, and then I need to get a hold of my doctor. I need her to know what is going on. Ava, it's okay. Ava, she's my pug. Ava Maria. I know. Oh my goodness. So then I called my doctor's office and asked for my doctor to call me back. And Miss Rogers, she's very professional. She called me back because she knows I ran into so many situations and she's horrified what I have encountered. And she's saddened. She's very saddened. She is just blown away too. And she goes, Miss Hernandez, you can pick anywhere you want to go to get this done. I understand. I just want you to be out of pain. Just let me know what you're wanting to do. And I go, I hope you understand what, and she goes, no, you did the right thing. You spoke up. You did the right thing. I got off the phone and hearing that from my doctor validated and empowered me and said, you know, you did the right thing and don't feel bad. Don't carry any guilt. And it felt good because, you know, I was scared. I was scared so much because that's the doctor. You're always been taught that they're gods, you know, but this man is not a god. I have no, and then going and doing, you know, I didn't do anything that day anymore. I think I posted something and because I was so frustrated. I had to get it out somehow, and that's what I did. Because I asked for prayers and people were praying and I wanted them to know what had happened. To pray for the other people who had these procedures and they went home. Anytime you do a procedure, and I remember having these procedures done, or a different kind, you know, the burning of the nerves, and they take you into a recovery room, and they had taken your blood pressure, they had someone there with you, and made sure you were okay. You were coherent enough to go out. Don't get me wrong, you have a driver, but you're okay. That's sick. That is sick and nauseous. Ray wanted me to call the insurance that same day, and I just, honestly, I had to chill out. I had to absorb everything that I just encountered. I called someone out. I might have saved a life. I prayed to God. No one before me got injured. prayed to God. So I went, the next day I woke up and I had my coffee. This is Wednesday, yesterday. And I went and did some research and what I needed to do. And I called these numbers, and that's the Texas Board of Health. And another one is with the state and health something. One for the doctor report to do a complaint on the doctor, and then one for the facility and the staff kind of thing. There's two separate things, places you need to go to. And then I called my insurance, and the young lady was so professional, unbelievable professional, because I didn't want her personal opinion. I wanted her business opinion, what my rights were, and she handled it so well. And I have to give that woman kudos. With the Blue Cross Blue Shield under the federal program, she handled that professionally, and she listened to me, and she given me a number to call, and she goes, "You're doing everything right." And I remember telling Miss Hernandez, the office manager, "I know you have cameras and I have photos." And she's just blown away. I had communication via email because you have forms mailed to you for you to fill out, so it's in writing, and then they can, that's how the case will be open. Is that how it's going to work? So they sent one via email, and the lady, the case person, sent it to me. And so I had sent back an email to her, because a lot of times these are just generated kind of situation. And I had asked, "Am I able to forward photos to back up my evidence?" And she goes, "Yes, ma'am." So it's very comforting knowing I know he's angry. I know the doctor's very, very angry. I know the staff is very angry. I know the office manager is just lost. But sometimes we need a wake-up call, and that's why we have organizations like the FDA. We have policies and rules and guidelines that we need to follow, and that is for the safety for all of the patients, and also all for the staff and for the providers, the doctors, the nurses. That's why we have these rules, these guidelines, these policies. And if we don't follow them, someone's going to get hurt. And people are afraid to speak up or to question. Don't be afraid to question. Don't be afraid to research. Don't be afraid to empower yourself. I was scared to death. So today is Thursday the 17th. I talked to my mother yesterday, and she goes, "I'm horrified of what you're going through. I am so angry with the city of El Paso and the medical of everything you've gone through. I don't share everything that I go through. You only get a glimpse, really just a glimpse of what I'm going through. And when it's really a big situation, that's when I say something. But there's a lot more." And my mom goes, "Is there a city big around you that you can go and have these done?" And and I go, "Well, Las Cruces, no, New Mexico, no. And the closest place, would be 10 hours away, Austin or San Antonio, and that's 12 hours away." I didn't ask to be hit in the back by someone texting and driving and lying, saying that the brakes went out on the vehicle on March 6th of 2016. I didn't ask to be in chronic pain daily, but I do ask from you to empower yourself and question if something does not feel right. Please ask. If something doesn't look right, speak up. Don't be afraid. because you could save a life. You just don't know. The story continues. I am going to go to my primary doctor at the end of the month. I'm going to be doing my labs to see where my numbers are again. I go back every 6 months. I am going to be meeting with my doctor, Dr. Rogers, and I am going to say, you know what? My mother suggested this. Have it out of a hospital setting. Don't go to a pain management. I don't want pain pills. I don't want your pills. Don't need them. I don't want to be a number. I don't want to be an addict. I need to have control of the situation. I'm in chronic pain. We need to do this in the most safest way. Non-addictive. So I'm going to see if I'm able to do it out of a hospital setting. At least, my mother said, at least they should be clean. We pray. So, I don't know, we're about probably almost a 40-minute vlog. And I'm okay with that. And the reason why I'm okay is because I wanted you guys to know. I need you guys to know. And I'm so, so thankful for your prayers. I'm so thankful for your support. And someone had said to me, you know, don't always expose your pain, or, you know, don't have to advertise your pain. And in a way, she is right. But when you live in chronic pain daily, it's hard. And sometimes you do need that support. And it's not that I want attention. It's not attention. I have good days, and there's days that I don't, I look pretty bad. Thank you. I love you. Be good to yourself. Please, be good to yourself. Be good to others, because we just don't know what journey they're on. We just don't know. And do not be afraid to protect yourself, empower yourself, and speak up. Manage your health care. Love, Clementine. Thank you.